and that U.S. officials have to be a lot more sensitive to this than they have been to this point. One of the problems is that Greece tries to reach U.S. officials on an assortment of issues. This is just one. Obviously, the Cyprus issue is another. The aggressive behavior of Turkey regarding the Eastern Aegean. So it's difficult for any Greek government to set priorities here. Which issue are you going to emphasize the most? Or you risk being viewed by U.S. officials as chronic complainers. And that's a problem. And now, of course, with the economic troubles in Greece, I think the U.S. may be less inclined to listen to Athens than it was even before. So it's a double problem. But as far as the strategy is concerned in terms of presenting this case, I'm not sure the Greek government could do a whole lot better than it has done. It has tried, it has presented logic and evidence. How much more can you do? Yes.
There was a project of the AMBO pipeline, America, Macedonia, Bulgaria oil, as you well know, to transport oil from the Epsilon Pontus to across the Balkans through Skopje and Albania and Avlona. Do you believe that may be the main reason for which the United States wants these countries to be in NATO, to perhaps restart this project?
I'm not sure it's the main reason. I would never underestimate the importance of energy policy as a driving motive for overall U.S. policy in any region. In this case, though, I think it is just one aspect of a good many reasons why the U.S. has embraced the policy it has. Yes, over here in the first row.
The question is, the Rand Corporation recently, and I saw this in a Greek newspaper, that they embraced the idea of Turkey being a steward or a principal guarantor in the Balkan area, and also being a predominant force in that part of the world. Firstly, why would somebody, a think tank like the Rand Corporation, take a position like that? And second of all, how can we Greeks fight that?
Okay, first of all, this is part of a larger attitude, almost an attempt to revive the Ottoman Empire as a role player in that part of the world. And there's a faction within the U.S. foreign policy community that is very, very receptive to that scenario. Why Rand would embrace this? Rand has tended to see Turkey as one of the pivotal powers in the international system, one of the keystone powers, which was a term used by former Deputy Secretary of Defense Paul Wolfowitz when he was at the Johns Hopkins School for Advanced International Studies before joining the Bush administration. A handful of keystone powers, Turkey close to the top of the list. And these people want Turkey to play a more active role in the Middle East, extend influence into Central Asia, and to play a larger role in the Balkans. That attitude, I think, oddly enough, is fading right now, despite the attitude, perhaps, of the Rand Corporation, as Turkey's own foreign policy becomes ever more independent and often contrary to the agenda of the United States. The recent Turkish-Brazilian initiative regarding Iran's nuclear program is a graphic example of how the U.S. is beginning to wonder whether Turkey would be a vehicle for benign influence in the Balkans or anywhere else. So you may see a rethinking of this. However, keep in mind the Turkish government, how shall I put this delicately, plows a good deal of money into various think tanks and universities in the United States for programs involving Mediterranean studies, Balkan studies, Middle East studies. And I don't want to say that the Rand position reflects that, but again, I suspect that's not an irrelevant consideration either. The second round.
Yes.
Wait. Okay. Just one. First you, and then first round.
How would you justify the existence
of the United States military camp, the largest ever built, 40,000 acres in Kosovo. What does it serve? What is its purpose?
I think that is seen as one of the anchors of the U.S. presence in that part of the world, and again, as part of a stabilizing mission and the projection of overall U.S. power. Don't ask me to defend that kind of decision, I certainly will not, but I mean, the United States has often been described as an empire of client states and bases, and this fits that second category very nicely. Could I take two more questions? Just okay. Yes, over here in the gentlemen, you were very patient. I'll have time for one more after that.
Is this the reason for this base that they're supporting Skopje?
That would be.
Well, I was.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that necessarily. Indeed, U.S. policymakers tend to see Kosovo as a very useful client, a very useful platform from which to project U.S. power and influence. Again, more rational people see Kosovo as even less viable as a state than Bosnia is. It's an international ward and an economic black hole. If you took away Kosovo's illegal economy, I'm not sure it would have an economy. You know, it's that kind of problem. So I don't think this is anything other than seen as narrow U.S. objectives there.
Some years ago, when I was president of this organization, I had a meeting at the White House, a small group, and Richard Holbrooke was sitting next to me.
You have my condolences.
And he was saying how Greece is secure, you know, that NATO is guaranteeing its borders and all that. I said, well, Greece has only one other country that threatens her with 100,000 landing craft all along the Greek islands, and most of its army next to the Greek islands, and hardly any army to speak of at the common border with the Soviet Union at the time, in the Caucasus area. And he says, and I had a small tape recorder, right, because he was sitting next to me. He says, if you take the tape recorder off, then I'll tell you. So I shut it off, put it in my briefcase, and the first thing he said, I don't like Turkey. And however, this is almost 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. The U.S. will need Turkey after 2020 because the oil from the Arabian countries, Saudi Arabia, etc., will start diminishing and will need to control the oil from the Caspian Sea.
From what I'm hearing, policymakers seem to think they're going to need Turkey for a multitude of reasons. And the fact that Turkey is not following the U.S. lead is regarded as profoundly worrisome because they regard Turkey as so terribly important. I can tell you what one fairly prominent policymaker told me about 7 or 8 years ago in comparing Greece and Turkey. He said that Greece is a small, somewhat unreliable ally. Turkey is an absolutely crucial and reliable ally. That's the prevailing attitude. And I have a feeling on that second point, attitudes may be shifting a little bit about how reliable Turkey is. But that was the attitude earlier in the decade. There's one more question. Yes.
It almost fits into his question. The State Department, although we tend to think what's happening today and we try to manipulate them around the issues of today, the State Department tends to think 15, 20 years ahead, and what they do is in preparation for that.